All right, Shakespeare fans, get ready, because we're diving into Act 2, Scene 3 of Romeo and Juliet.
Ooh, yeah. This is where things start to get really interesting.
It is right. Romeo's just met Juliet at that Capulet party.
And he's totally smitten.
Head over heels.
So now he's going to seek out Friar Lawrence.
And that's where we come in.
We're going to break down this whole scene, unpack the big themes, and give you some serious ammo for those classroom discussions.
Think of this like your secret weapon for totally crushing it in English class.
Exactly. You'll be able to impress your teacher and maybe even your classmates with all these insights.
So let's jump right in. One thing that always strikes me about this scene is how it starts.
With Friar Lawrence all by himself.
Yeah, at dawn.
Giving this amazing speech about plants and nature.
I love that imagery. It's like Shakespeare is setting the stage for something big.
Oh, he definitely is. It's all symbolic, like a new day is dawning, but there's also this sense of the unknown.
Like what's going to happen next.
Exactly. And, Friar Lawrence is talking about plants, but he's also hinting at something deeper.
Like what?
Well, he's really focused on this idea of duality, the way plants can be both healing and harmful.
I see where you're going with this.
Right. It foreshadows his own role in the play.
Because he's going to get involved in something that could have both good and bad outcomes.
We got it. He's trying to help Romeo and Juliet, but his actions might end up having unintended consequences.
Ooh, that's so interesting. Okay, but enough about Friar Lawrence for now. Let's talk about Romeo.
Oh boy, is he about to shake things up?
Seriously.
Yeah.
He comes bursting onto the scene like a human firework.
And guess what?
He's totally over Rosaline.
Just like that.
I mean, one minute he's all heartbroken, and the next he's saying Juliet is like the sun and moon and stars all rolled into one.
It's pretty wild.
Totally. It makes you wonder if this is really true love or just a teenage crush.
Shakespeare definitely wants us to question that. Like, is Romeo really in love, or is he just infatuated?
Good question. Now I gotta know.
Yeah.
What does Friar Lawrence think about all this?
Well, let's just say he's a little surprised.
You can say that again.
I mean, Romeo basically did a complete 180.
And Friar Lawrence isn't afraid to call him out on it.
Oh, yeah, he teases him a little bit, calls him fickle. Like, Romeo, you're changing your mind faster than I can brew a potion.
Haha, I can totally picture that. But here's the thing. Despite all that, Friar Lawrence agrees to marry Romeo and Juliet.
He does, which is a pretty big deal.
Huge EE. Why would he do that?
Well, I think he has a few reasons.
Like what? Spill the tea.
Okay, so first of all, Friar Lawrence is like a mentor to Romeo.
He's seen him grow up. He knows his heart.
Exactly. And even though he's a little skeptical, he also believes in the power of love.
Oh, that's kind of sweet.
Plus, he's hoping that this marriage will finally end the feud between the Montagues and Capulets.
Whoa, so he's thinking big picture.
Yeah, he's like, maybe if these two crazy kids can get together, it'll bring peace to Verona.
That's a lot of pressure to put on a couple of teenagers.
It is. But Friar Lawrence is a hopeful guy.
I guess we'll have to keep reading to see if his gamble pays off.
Definitely. This is just the beginning of the story.
Stay tuned. It's a big risk, for sure. I mean, those families really hate each other.
Oh, yeah. It's like a volcano waiting to erupt.
Exactly. And Friar Lawrence is basically throwing a match on it.
But see, that's what makes this scene so good.
What do you mean?
Shakespeare is using this thing called dramatic irony.
Ooh. I remember learning about that in class.
Right. It's when the audience knows something that the characters don't.
And in this case, we know about Romeo and Juliet's secret love.
And Friar Lawrence's plan to marry them.
But the families are totally clueless.
Exactly. So it's like we're watching a car crash in slow motion.
Ooh, I get it.
Hey.
We can see the danger, but the characters can't.
It makes you want to scream, don't do it.
Totally. And that just makes us even more invested in the story.
Right. We're like rooting for Romeo and Juliet, but also terrified for them.
Speaking of rooting for them,
Okay.
Let's talk about some of the big themes in this scene.
Oh, yes. Theme time.
Okay, so we've already touched on the power of love,
How it can be like a drug. Totally intoxicating.
but also potentially dangerous.
For sure.
But there's another big question here.
The age-old question.
Fate versus free will.
Are Romeo and Juliet destined to be together?
Or do they have the power to choose their own path?
That's what we gotta figure out.
I mean, on the one hand, it feels like they're just being swept along by this crazy romance.
They meet at a party, fall madly in love, and bam, they're talking about marriage.
That's a whirlwind.
It's like Shakespeare saying, hey, maybe fate does have a plan.
Ooh, I like that. But wait a minute. Doesn't Friar Lawrence's decision to marry them kind of mess with that whole fate idea?
You've got a point there.
He's actively trying to change the course of events.
So is he fighting against fate?
Or is he actually playing right into its hands?
It's like he's trying to outsmart destiny.
But we all know that usually doesn't end well.
True. Which brings us to another important theme.
Hit me with it.
The role of religion.
Ooh, yeah. Friar Lawrence is a man of God.
But he's also willing to bend the rules to help these two lovebirds.
So does he have the right to do that?
It's a tough question. We have to consider his motivations.
Like, is he doing this for the right reasons?
And is love truly a powerful enough force to justify his actions?
So many questions.
And remember that opening speech about plants?
The one about duality.
Exactly. Well, I think Friar Lawrence is facing a similar dilemma here.
Like, he believes in the power of love to heal.
But he's also aware of the potential for things to go wrong.
That's like a balancing act.
He's weighing the risks against the rewards.
Hoping that ultimately the good will outweigh the bad.
But with Romeo and Juliet, you never really know.
True. Those two are unpredictable.
So we got to ask ourselves, is Friar Lawrence being wise and compassionate?
Or is he making a big mistake that's going to blow up in everyone's faces?
Stay tuned to find out.
It's like we're holding our breath waiting to see what happens next.
Right. Shakespeare's got us right where he wants us. Totally hooked.
So let's take a step back for a second and think about the big picture.
Okay, back to the basics.
Why is this scene so important? Why should we care?
Well, for starters, this scene is a major turning point for Romeo.
He's gone from pining for Rosaline to falling head over heels for Juliet.
It's a classic example of how love can completely transform us.
Yeah, sometimes for the better, sometimes not so much.
And then we have Friar Lawrence.
This wise old dude who's trying to play peacemaker.
He's taking a huge risk by agreeing to marry Romeo and Juliet.
He believes in their love, but he also knows how dangerous this could be.
It's a decision that's going to have some serious consequences down the line.
And let's not forget about all the juicy themes that Shakespeare's throwing at us.
Right. We've got love, fate, religion. It's like a buffet of big ideas.
It's amazing how much he packs into just one scene.
Shakespeare was a master storyteller for sure.
But here's the question that's been bugging me.
What's that?
Knowing how much the Montagues and Capulets despise each other,
Yeah.
do you really think Friar Lawrence is doing the right thing by marrying Romeo and Juliet?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
I mean, is he being naive?
Is he underestimating just how deep that hatred runs?
It's like he's trying to put out a fire with gasoline.
Right. But at the same time, he's also a man of faith.
He believes in the power of love to conquer all.
But is that enough?
I guess only time will tell.
And that's what keeps us reading, right?
Exactly. We need to know what happens next.
Will Romeo and Juliet's love survive?
Will their families ever make peace?
And what about Friar Lawrence?
Will his gamble pay off? Or will it all blow up in his face?
So many questions still to be answered.
That's the beauty of Shakespeare, though, right?
He keeps us guessing until the very end.
So keep those brains working, keep digging into the text, and get ready for some serious drama.
Because trust me, things are about to get wild.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into Act 2, Scene 3 of Romeo and Juliet.
Hope you enjoyed the ride.
And remember, you can always find more deep dives on our website.
We're tackling all your favorite Shakespeare plays.
So until next time, happy reading